are these people?
So we talked about Rumeysa Öztürk. She is the Tufts University student. Actually, this article, I brought this article from WBUR, which is local Boston affiliate, that they did a really good job of describing and breaking down exactly what's going on with her case and bringing her perspective, bringing some other perspectives. So I figured I'd bring this one. So she did get out. Thankfully, she's out right now, but it's on bail, and that's what they're going to talk about here. And I think a lot of people have not talked about that part. That's how do we miss that? That's the how do we miss that portion, by the way. Is it Angelina Jolie, John Voight's daughter? Yes, she is, as a matter of fact, Jacqueline. That's correct. Dulé Hill is Sam the... Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I knew that. Dulé Hill is Sam the Onion Man. Nice.
Yeah, dude.
Dulé Hill Charlie from The West Wing. So, as we know...
that.
Tufts,
such a good movie.
Tufts University student Rumeysa Öztürk has been released from a Louisiana immigration processing facility, her attorneys say. No, not her attorneys say. There's the pictures. She got out. She's out. That's her. She's out. All right. Following a 6-week detention and legal fight that's become a flashpoint in the Trump administration's targeting of international students. Judge William Sessions ordered her release from the bench on Friday, saying he found serious claims of, quote, both due process and First Amendment violations in her arrest in Somerville, Massachusetts in March. No surprise there. We watched the arrest. There was a lot of unconstitutional stuff for sure. He said Öztürk's worsening asthma condition was a consideration of her release. I don't know what that was about. As well as... Unplugged. No, it's okay. It was just a Windows thing. As well as her need to continue her doctorate studies. Well, that's nice. He said the only evidence the government presented over the past 3 weeks in its fight to keep her in Louisiana was the op-ed she wrote criticizing Israel's war in Gaza. There is no evidence here, Judge Sessions said, other than the op-ed. Quote, Öztürk, clad in an orange prison jumpsuit and a beige hijab, appeared at her bail hearing via video from a small, bare, white-walled room at the South Louisiana ICE processing facility. She's scheduled to appear next in the Vermont court on May 22nd, when the judge will decide on the merits of her case that her constitutional rights were violated. This proceeding is separate from the government's deportation case against her. So she's still got 2 other cases happening here that she has to defend herself in court against. The Vermont ruling is a blow to the Trump administration's attempt to use the immigration enforcement to punish foreign-born, predominantly Muslim academics who've spoken up in defense of Palestinian human rights. At least 11 others in similar positions have been targeted. We've talked about several of them. One of them left the country, one of them lost and then left the country, one of them was deported. You know, Mahmoud Khalil famously is still in that facility in Louisiana. Judge Sessions declined to place a travel restriction on Öztürk despite the government's request, for no reason other than to fuck with her and to stop her from going to class. He said her academic career could require her to attend out-of-state events. He said, the judge, this is a woman totally committed to her academic career. This was a traumatic event. He found no evidence that she was involved in violence or criminal activity and said she therefore presents no risk of flight. Tufts University spokesman Mike Rodman, in a statement, said the school was pleased with the decision, as they should be, but they also should have been fighting much harder to get her out. Yeah, here, now it's really easy for him to take a victory lap. We look forward to welcoming her back to campus to resume her doctoral studies. Noting, and he added, that nothing in her co-authored op-ed in the Tufts Daily student newspaper violated either the university's gatherings, protests, and demonstrations policy or its declaration on freedom of expression. The school didn't care, but the Trump administration did. because Beitar did.
Beitar.
Because Planet Beitar handed the Trump administration a list of pro-Palestinian and anti-genocide protesters that they wanted rounded up and deported. And the Trump administration delivered. It was Öztürk's first public appearance since her arrest on March 25th. They disappeared her for 6 weeks. That was a harrowing night in which she feared for her life as immigration agents took her to New Hampshire, Vermont, and then Louisiana. She was unaware that her student visa had been revoked days earlier. Like I said, Left Voice said that the student visas had been reinstated. No, the website where the visas were housed was reinstated, so the schools could only look up, once again, whether the visa had been redacted or not, or revoked. And in her case, they did revoke it. On Friday, amazingly enough, she was calm and composed as she answered numerous questions from lawyers and the judge about her medical condition, which she said has grown worse in the crowded quarters at the immigration jail where she's been held for 6 weeks. What a surprise. Quote, so you think the frequency and seriousness of these attacks has increased because of your exposure to such things as cleaning supplies, etc.? Yes, she said. I'm indicating that both the duration, intensity, and frequency has increased because of the constant triggers surrounding me and also stressful environment that I'm living in right now. The government offered no witnesses and asked no questions of Öztürk herself because they expect that authoritarianism, you're just going to railroad through whatever they want. Well, Judge Sessions said no. And then what they're going to do is they're going to attack the judge and call him an activist judge and say that he's legislating from the bench when he did exactly what the job of a judge is. In court Friday, Michael Drescher, acting U.S. Attorney for Vermont, reiterated the government's jurisdictional arguments. Ridiculous. We continue to assert that this court is neither the right forum nor is the right time is this the right time for a hearing this claim? What is the right time? Because you haven't given her due process, locking her up for 6 weeks without a hearing. Multiple federal judges disagreed with that argument, including the Second Circuit Court of Appeals in New York, which ruled this week that immigration officials should return Öztürk to Vermont by next Wednesday. DHS suggested it planned to fight that ruling, but under Friday's order, Öztürk's free to live in Massachusetts and travel to Vermont for hearings, which DHS did not like. Asked about the judge's comments Friday, White House Press Secretary, 27-year-old Caroline Leavitt, who's married apparently to a 60-year-old dude, I learned, told reporters, quote, lower-level judges should not be dictating the foreign policy of the United States. Like I said, legislating from the bench, reiterating prior statements that
he's got a point.
That it's a privilege, not a right, to come into this country on a visa, which she already was given and has done nothing but been a solid citizen. She just spoke out against the government that you don't like. Guess what? That's not against the law, assholes. Massachusetts Attorney General Andrea Campbell, in a statement to WBUR, called Öztürk's release a welcome step toward justice, but she noted this is just the first victory in a long legal road ahead for someone wrongly targeted by the federal administration because of her political views. It's 100% political, and I don't think that they even deny that.
Yeah.
Marco Rubio has yet to produce any bit of any evidence or anything that she has done beyond writing this op-ed. And even Matt Taibbi stepped on it bad this week and tried to defend Marco Rubio and say the corporate media wasn't... Children. They weren't... Man, he tried to say that corporate media needs to at least acknowledge that Rubio says he has worse evidence against her, even if he hasn't presented.
You done messed up, AA Ron.
Oh, dude, he done messed up real bad. And not just me, but a lot of journalists, independent journalists, tore him apart for it and said, you've been weirdly apologetic of all the Trump administration shit. And we get that you didn't like we get you didn't like what the Biden administration was up to because, well, they persecuted him personally and sent the FBI after him, sent the IRS after him. But fuck, man, like doing mental gymnastics and siding with Rubio over this grad student who got rounded up in the middle of the night by ICE because that asshole revoked her fucking her visa unbeknownst to anyone in the middle of the night. Fuck that guy so bad, man. Marco Rubio's such a piece of shit.
You're fired.
He's not going to be fired. He's doing exactly what he's told to do, and he was handled the job that what's his name that Mike Waltz had. That what was that? A national security advisor type of position. He's serving in multiple positions at the same time.
Was firing Taibbi.
Oh, okay. Well,
that was the bit.
Good. McMahon can fire to fuck Taibbi too. All right, because that was bullshit. Like you claim to defend free speech, but you're gonna advocate for somebody who got arrested for 6 fucking weeks and put in jail because she wrote an op-ed. What would you be doing if they did that to you, Matt? Oh my God! Can you imagine the outcry? No, that was sheet. 100% sheet. And I called it out on Twitter.
Very much.
And I called it out on Substack notes. And I said, this is like a cancel my subscription, my paid subscription level bullshit right here. Like, I can support plenty of other independents that can use the money a lot more than that douchebag. Like, come on, man. Don't do that. Mental gymnastics to support the Trump administration because they're not Democrats. Really? Embarrassing. All right. Nearly 24 Tufts colleagues submitted affidavits of support on behalf of Rumeysa Öztürk in her legal fight. In interviews with WBUR, friends recalled how she fostered a tight-knit community at the school's Interfaith Center, helping organize weekly gatherings, volunteer shifts at homeless shelters, and fitness classes for stressed-out PhD students. Yeah, what a terrible person. Totally take that person off the map. Quote, Rumeysa is best described as a sweet, caring soul. But along with that, she's someone who had the courage to speak up. She might appear shy, but she also has a boldness about her. All right. I mean, I couldn't imagine if one of us got swept off the street and it's left up to everybody else to kind of bail us out and set the narrative and fight for us. Who would be there to do that? Thankfully, there are people who do that on behalf of...
You violated the law.
No, she didn't. But thank goodness there are people that are ready to stand up on behalf of this student.
How dare you, White Run Guard?
And others.
You stop that.
Members of the Massachusetts congressional delegations had visited Öztürk last month in Louisiana, photo op, and pressed for her release. In a statement Friday, Senators Ed Markey and Elizabeth Warren... snake, and Representatives Ayanna Pressley and Jim McGovern, no friend to any of these prisoners, really, except on the surface. Let us be clear, Rumeysa should never have been abducted off the streets of Somerville, had her visa revoked, and been moved to the detention site of more than 1,500 miles away in all violation of her constitutional rights. Yeah, guess why? Because... you guys decided to railroad...
You've got no friends in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, but they decided to railroad Kamala Harris as their nominee against this clown. They didn't put up any resistance. They haven't actually fought. They're waiting until after the barn doors open to close it. The horse is already gone. Oh, let's close that barn door and make sure that no horse will get out now. Fuck these people. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
This is a victory for Rumeysa. For justice and for our democracy. But remember, she's still got a bail hearing in 2 weeks. So again, this is her getting out. Thank goodness she's out. She didn't deserve to ever be there in the first place. All right. Now, this was a couple of days before, and it's related, but this was the decision to not change venue. All right. That in addition, in yet another repudiation of the Trump administration's persecution of pro-Palestinian human rights activists, the Second Circuit Court of Appeals denied the government's motion to stay the district court's order that Rumeysa Öztürk be transferred to Vermont. The Second Circuit Second Circuit addressed at length the government's contention that Article 3 courts don't have jurisdiction to decide habeas petitions like Ms. Öztürk's, rejecting every single claim in support of this core argument made by the government. This decision is similar to that.
Who got rid of that habeas corpus? Who did that?
Thanks, Obama.
Who got rid of that?
Thanks, Obama.
The decision is similar to that of the district court in Mahmoud Khalil's case from last week. Right? The Second Circuit Court also noted that Marco Rubio again has failed to produce any evidence in support of Öztürk's detention, apart from the op-ed she co-authored, arguing that Tufts University, where she's a grad student, should divest from Israel. Her bail petition should be heard soon in the Vermont District Court, and she'll hopefully be released from custody at that time. This was, again, before they released her on Friday. And that, again, there's the official court decision documents there. But the fact that they weren't allowed to move venue, she can now live in Massachusetts, go to school there, and drive to Vermont, and that she's no longer detained and she's free to go and attend classes is a big win. And a big shot against the Trump administration. All right. So that is Rumeysa Öztürk. Fuck Trump. It's bullshit. They're getting rounded up for speaking out against a foreign country. Let that sink in. That's right. And that's going to be precursor to getting rounded up for speaking out against our country. All right. Who was it that first noticed that Taibbi made a habit to not talk at great length about Gaza? I don't know. A lot of people have been pointing that out for a long time.
I know a couple of correct for quite a bit.
All right.
You know?
Yep. Quite a few. Again, I don't think that he was Elon's stenographer, quote unquote. I don't believe that a lot of what he reported on was quote unquote handpicked or whatever. It was handpicked by Twitter's lawyers, but he found whatever he could find in those documents and presented what he found. What he was looking for was the Democrats colluding with Twitter management, which he found a lot of. The FBI, CIA, all that stuff was real.
He could have looked at other stuff. I'm sure there was a few lanes he could have went down, but they might not have gave it to him, even if he fucking asked. So
Marco, oh not mio. Yeah, that's right.
That's the point.
We're certainly not going to be monetized for talking about Rumeysa Öztürk. So if you're able to, and it means, please, Cash App, $ Indie News Network, ko-fi.com/Indie News Network, paypal.me/Indie News Network, INNnewsletter.com, or over at IndieMediaToday.com as well. Both of the Substacks coming to a Substack near you. Support independent media. We need it more than ever.
Mwah. Ciao, baby.
No! We just fucking lost the stream.
You can't keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your heads. Why play civil if you won't listen? 50,000 died, and now we know our mission. We form a militia, make Congress a prison.